morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for coming, Ms. Govin. This is not your first rodeo, so we appreciate Ms. Govin coming to join us. So we have Mrs. Govin here today and Mr. Dorman, our assistant principal, and myself, Ali Jordan, interim principal of Granby for the school year. So thank you for joining us. On our list of topics today, we will start to discuss our program of studies and any new programming we have available. We'll discuss the ins and outs of Google Classroom, our upcoming alumni event, online learning, recommendations for the RAM report, as well as our upcoming ALICE training events being offered to our students on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Is there anything that either of you would like to add to the agenda?
No. Comprehensive. Sounds good.
Very thorough. Let's start. So super cool. We've been working for the past couple months on program of studies. And as you know, the program of studies is typically updated every couple of years. So this year we're in a cycle where we go through it A to Z. And we take courses out that students are no longer interested in, or we add courses in that teachers would like to teach. So it's been an ongoing process for the past couple months, working with team leaders and team leaders taking that information to their departments and working collaboratively to get that done. So we've been, visiting some of the departments and trying to get their thoughts on, what's next and what classes are you interested in teaching. Teachers are given the autonomy to be able to do so, and we have the final approval down here after we do course signups and things to see if there's interest. So the teachers have the best pulse on, what their kids are interested in. We're noticing like a lot of the senior class, they're medically driven, right? So they have that desire to go into the medical field. A lot of our juniors are looking more of the engineering. So when we have all this info in the back of our mind, we then turn to the teachers to say, what else can we do for our kids? What are new pathways that we can offer? So a couple things that have come to mind is continuing our partnership with HCC. So currently right now we have a course that the students are taking. It's an online course that they're enrolled in during the school day. And that will end at the end of the first semester. It follows the college semester dates. And then we propose a new course in January, so students will be enrolling into a new course. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a computer applications course from HCC. So we'll put that out there to the students to see who is going to be interested in taking that HCC course. We also have been doing some work with VHS. It's an online learning platform. It is really hard to kind of turn around and look. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
So a virtual high school.
Yes, a virtual high school option, which is really cool because our kids are so used to the remote world. Like they can do it. And you know what, to be honest, if whatever career path the students choose when they graduate high school, they have opportunity to do college classes online or online certificates if they're going into the workforce, things like that. So we have partnered with VHS to offer some AP courses at the school in addition to what we're going to be offering. These will be free of charge. There'll be no cost for books, no cost for materials or anything. And we are, Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, the two we were leaning towards was AP Physics 1, which is the algebra-based course, and the second course was the AP Environmental
Science. Yeah.
Environmental Science. So that'll be really cool. So we'll just have to work out the logistics of how that's going to be offered. We know it's going to be online, but we have to have, the students supervised. So what that looks like during the day, and do we offer it in the morning? Do we offer it at the end of the day so students can go home and do that work? It's an asynchronous course. And we also will identify a site coordinator to be able to support the students through that. So, and again, this is in addition to the AP courses that we're going to be offering. There are others as well, and they anticipate this list growing. The program coordinator said that they could possibly be adding 3 to 4 more classes. That doesn't necessarily mean that we'll do those because we'll run into a staffing issue of supervising the kids, but I think as of right now, 2 is a pretty good place to start in addition to the 7 that we currently offer. Another area we've been working in is the Project Lead the Way. So Project Lead the Way is a program, probably when Daniel was younger, he may have taken some of these courses, started in the junior high. They call it Project Lead the Way Gateway. And with that, we have that junior high program already in place. So we're looking to grow Project Lead the Way, and we've elected to make a computer science pathway. So what that means is students that will be taking the classes in junior high, that they will then be able to have those similar classes, you know, different content, but be able to grow into, you know, a pathway before they graduate high school. So if they're taking like design and modeling or robotics and automation, they will be able to then take, you know, at the end of their pathway, like a cybersecurity course, which is the proposed course for next fall. So we will partner with Project Lead the Way to offer a high school computer science pathway for students in grades 9 through 12, which is super exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting.
It is, and Sue Crago and I yesterday just submitted our application for a grant. Well, we found a grant that is specifically geared towards schools looking to initiate the computer science pathway, specifically bring cybersecurity to the school. So with that said, it's a $10,000 grant, and that would be able to be used for materials for the class, you know, software programs, things that we may need to purchase to make it run, which is really cool. I'm super excited for it, and I'm crossing my fingers that we get the grant. I would hope that we would hear within the next 6 weeks, because the training for it, we would have to select a teacher who is going to be Derek Kearns, and Derek would be attending the training, which the training starts in January, so I'm anticipating finding out sooner rather than later. And if we don't get the grant for it, we'll still see what we have left for funds in the Project Lead the Way program from past grants that we've received to see if we can use some of that funding, you know, to put Derek through that training. So really cool opportunity, and could start as early as next fall. Did anyone have any questions about any of the student programming?
I do not.
No?
No.
I forgot to mention that we're in limbo right now with the CJ class. We have identified a couple of the alternatives for the CJ class. We will not be offering it next semester, but we've identified 2 online courses that students could take through our Edmentum program, which is Play-Doh. So it's an online course that students would take here in the school. So very similar to the VHS class. That's some work that we need to be doing probably in the next couple weeks, is meeting with those students, you know, giving them a couple options to either go into other classes, go into like a community service role, or enroll in one of the 2 online classes that I selected through Edmentum.
Where do they take the online classes? Is it in that media center? They go there? Or?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both. It could be in the cafeteria. You know, they're pretty independent. That's our experience with the Intro to Communications class.
And the access through the Chromebooks, like you said, is gives them everything they need to be able to, because it's largely self-paced. So we set up a window that they need to complete the course by, and we can monitor their progress through the course, and so it is a lot of self-pacing.
Okay.
Yeah, really cool opportunity. So I gave the information to our guidance department. I can't repeat exactly verbatim what the name of the 2 classes were, but they were, I want to say one was Intro to Criminology.
Yeah, criminology was one of them.
I just can't recall the second, if it was a forensics course of some kind. So we tried to pick something that was very similar. So we'll see. We'll begin to meet with some of the students that were enrolled in that CJ class and see what we can come up with. So Google Classrooms. I know that you had mentioned it prior to us turning the camera on, talking about the ease of it. What has your overall experience been with the Google Classroom to date?
Well, at the beginning, which was the beginning of COVID, it was very challenging because I wasn't familiar with it. But what's nice about it is you can see the emails, you can see them, get the notifications as long as you're signed up or logged in to be able to receive the notifications. It's been a great way for me to be able to try and stay on top of things that Daniel is doing, isn't doing, and where we need to, the pathways we need to go to to get him on the right track and keep him on the right track.
How often do you check it?
I would say, I would like to do it daily. I at least do it 3 to 4 days a week. Now, what I do is every evening, I make Daniel open up the Chromebook and show him, open up every class and show him, and I know where everything's at, so he can't hide anything, if that makes sense. I learned how to unsubmit things pretty easily when I saw that there was an opportunity for him to do things a little bit better. But it's, as a parent, you need to stay on top of that, for sure.
My experience in the classroom is that the parent report that comes out on Fridays it's an overview, but it doesn't give the details. And there's some ways that savvy students can manipulate it so it looks like things are done when they're not really done. And so being able to log in with your child, with the student, and see their side of Google Classroom is a much more effective way to support them than just the weekly parent report. So.
And I'll tell a secret. Not Brenda's going to come out now, but I stay logged in as Daniel, because then I see everything that he sees, the notifications that he's getting from the teachers. And if I send an email in his, I'll say this is Daniel's mom sending something so that they know that it's not Daniel sending it. But it's good for me to be able to really see, because if you're logging in as a parent, I don't believe you see everything the same way that the kids do.
Correct. What are some of the challenges that you faced with it? Like, if we could improve in some way, what are some of your suggestions?
Maybe have a tutorial for the parents on how to use that. I mean, it is very user-friendly. You're clicking and finding the different areas, but I think during the not the open house at the beginning of the year, all the teachers will talk about their office hours and extra help and stuff like that. And some of the teachers do have that in there and some don't. So that would be really good to know when I want to direct Daniel for extra help or something along that line, is to have that highlighted a little bit more. And you take the notes during that open house, but they are now lost somewhere in the house. So.
No, I think that's good. I appreciate that. I can add that to the RAM report, and our staff update to make sure that office hours are, posted and visible. I know if you walk in the classrooms, you see it, and the kids probably know, but it's good information for parents to have as well to encourage students to stay after. Speaking of office hours, we did change our late bus day to Tuesdays from Wednesdays, and hopes to include a second day a week. It may not apply to Daniel, but I think having 2 days a week is important, and we want to be able to support students as much as possible. And I hate to hear that they can't because they have no way of getting home. So we want to be able to encourage that. But we briefly talked about office hours this week, and if we can add those into the staff part on our website. So our website is undergoing some serious updating. And it's really difficult to find things right now. We even struggle. So we're trying to think how we can take it to the next step. Can we put the teachers? Before we had everything pretty much linked to the portal, but the Google Classroom is the main hub for everything. So just adding those office hours that you're saying, but into our website. So if you just click on, Crystal Dufresne, you can see that her office hours are on Monday from, you know what I mean? So we were talking about that this week, so maybe we can do something like that so you can see it. Other suggestions?
A Google Classroom? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Actually, can you see grades in Google Classroom?
If you're under Daniel's. If they're put in.
So it does. It depends on how the teacher utilizes. There is a grading area that can mirror what would be on Plus Portals, but it just depends on how the teacher utilizes it. And I don't know if that's a setting that could go out in that weekly parental report. But last year in particular, was heavy use of Google Classroom. So when I completed assignment, I graded it, and the grades would be released to the students. You took a quiz, you got an 87 on it, that went directly to the student, and then I migrated them manually into the Plus Portals.
Okay.
So I would have to see what the parent side what's available on the parent side.
Oh, maybe I should go in there and look as a parent. I go in as a kid, as a student.
Yeah, I have it. I use the app for my 2 children, and super
Google
easy.
Classroom?
No, sorry, for the portal.
Oh yeah, I have the portal.
And that's super user friendly. I love that. But when you use the portal online, it's challenging. Like when you open it on a regular computer.
I've never done that. I've
But-
always been on the phone.
Yeah, the app version on your phone is much more user friendly. Google Classroom is very user friendly on your phone. So if you have, if you download Google Classroom, it will link, but it will likely link to your Gmail account if you use Gmail. So you would have to like add another account to your phone, and then you could log into, Daniel's account.
Correct.
I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
I am on the phone too.
But it's super user friendly. My son's phone goes off all night from when teachers post things, and I tell him to shut those off.
Yeah, my watch has been vibrating a lot since I've been sitting here, so I'm thinking that's what it is Google Classroom.
He's turning, it's working.
He's turning, it's working or something. Because last night when we were looking at his homework, instead of having to go back to the portal to see the grades, I was
Yeah.
hoping to be able, in Google Classroom, it's like, well, what did you get for a grade on this? It was
Right.
a quiz in algebra, and we had to go back and forth between the 2 platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have some components in Google Classroom to use, and you can certainly tie it to the portal, but we found, right, that it's not.
It's not flawless.
Yes, so
No, yes.
so there's some issues that have come out of it. I'm hoping Google has done an amazing job since remote learning, like with their improvements alone. Every day there's some type of new update, which is really cool. So it's been user friendly. I don't anticipate this going away. I think it's awesome for teachers to have, for students that are out, that they can use it as a reference tool. So I really enjoy it. Sometimes I pop in the rooms and check, for sub coverage. Todd will pop in so he knows what's, if the teacher's out, what's going on. But there's a lot of perks to it for sure.
So when are you updating the pictures on the portal?
Trying. Do you know that's on my list of things to do right here?
We already discussed it this morning.
Daniel looks like he's in 6th grade.
I know. Well, he was in 7th.
Yeah.
So it is on my list, my honey to-do list for sure. And we're struggling with it. Retake day is December 3rd now, for Life Touch. But so we have to manually change all of the ID numbers because they have their SACID numbers, which are the student numbers that are recognized by the state, but it has to be the unique ID numbers. So I've asked Tammy in guidance, this is awful, to go through and change all of those to their unique IDs. So we were like, should we just pump the brakes a little bit and see if there's an easier way? But they said that we have to manually do it. So Life Touch doesn't cooperate with Rediker, but I'm like, I know it's been done in the past, so we are sorting through that. You would think it was easy, a couple clicks of a button and an upload here and there, but it certainly is not. But it is on my list of things to do.
Daniel just said something about that last night.
I know.
That's funny.
I almost wish they could change their picture, and just...
Yeah, but then you don't know what you get.
No, you
There's
don't.
the flip side, yes. We had some interesting avatars last year, so
Yeah.
We did.
we did limit their
Yes.
ability.
We blanket defaulted all the avatars in the school. It was easier to err on the side of caution. So thanks for mentioning that because it is on my little honey to-do list. But so online learning, we're not full remote anymore. We're in person. Is there anything you'd like to add in reference to like online learning and aside from just the Google Classroom?
The perk for the online learning is, like you mentioned before, you can do it anywhere.
Right.
And just like my job on the outside, being remote, I can be anywhere and do my job. And so that is a huge perk of it. The challenge is it's remote in the same sense, meaning that they have access to everything to be able to, which is good. And we had to go to the library and the encyclopedias and stuff like that when I was in high school, which was a little bit harder, but I'm finding that you need to really watch where they're going to get the information and they're not trying to circumvent the system. It's easy to do it, to do that.
So right, we had to do a lot of redesigning of things last year because there was no way, particularly in the long periods of remote, I don't know what resources you have. I have to assume you have all resources. So I couldn't consider it a traditional assessment because everything was open book, open notebook, open internet.
Yeah.
So now we had to adjust our assignments and our approach to assessment.
Yeah, I do think, personally speaking, that Daniel lost some, ground when it came to the academics during the road, but we did what we had to do. You guys did what you had. It's not a criticism on anything. It's just his learning style, and I think maybe learning style of a lot of kids. I know learning style for me, myself.
Sure.
I'm better sitting here and talking with somebody than virtually. We
Right.
adapt to it, but it's always better to be in the person. So I'm glad we're back in
Certainly.
person.
I bet if you asked every student, they would likely echo that sentiment, and they've learned a lot, and I always try to think of pull the positive out of
Sure.
how, they're so resilient, and they've learned a lot of responsibility and really had to adapt, right, to all these new ways of learning, but taking a positive out of it, even like the staff alone as well, just how many skills you've learned.
Sure. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible, and I do love probably my favorite part out of all of this is the flexibility that you spoke to about being able to hold a meeting, and if you have 10 meetings a day, just being able to click a quick sign on, is really nice to be able to have that. So that's like one thing that I've kept is being able to use virtual meetings, as opposed to pulling parents in and having, driving here. It's just so much easier.
Oh, it is. In my job, my civilian job, I feel like I'm in the military right now, but in corporate America, that's all we do. Unfortunately, your calendars are meeting, but it's hard to actually get work done in between, but it is great, because as soon as I'm done here, I'll be on my way home clicking on the meeting at 10 o'clock. I don't have to be in the office, but I need to be on it, and it's great to have that flexibility.
Yeah. Certainly.
More productive.
Yes. And I wonder, our parent conferences are
in person, right?
In person, so I almost wonder, should we have offered, a virtual, option for that? And I don't know if they have, but, at their sports meeting the other day, we changed it last minute because we were getting so many requests for it to be virtual, and I was like, well, we can't do both. We got to pick one or the other, and, we ended up changing it virtually because it's so much easier for parents, when they're home and to just be able to click. Even as a parent teacher,
I could see where that could be a benefit. Either my husband or I are always away, when it's coming. For instance, Mark will not be able to join next week, so I'll either have him on the phone listening, like he's done for me in the past when we're in the parent-teacher conferences. But having that virtual option is definitely something that helps all parties.
Yep, I like that. Right, just writing some notes.
I will say having the video part would be ideal when it comes to, especially a parent-teacher conference, being able to see.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool to be able to do that. We've seen staff, that have children, and if they have, a meeting that comes up during the school day, and we're really flexible with our staff that if they need to be able to step aside for a quick 15-minute meeting, they don't have to leave the school, and they're able to do that right from their classroom or office. So it's really nice to be able to have that. But let's talk RAM report. So we started at the beginning of the year purposely flooding parents with information and then chopped it down. So went from 4 right down to a 1-pager and was super proud to be able to do that. And what are we missing? So recommendations for RAM report, aside from changing away from Playfair display, because it is super hard to read. But what are your thoughts in regards to our RAM report and how we can do better?
The only thing that comes to mind for there, one, it's great information, and I like that it's not long. You can link to something if you need to get more information on something, and I think that's important, is to keep that, keep the report to the nugget, the talking point, and then, to be able to go to the resource. The only change I would recommend for it is when you are putting in there to email Ali Jordan for the coffee and conversation, is having that email not just there to copy but linked, so you click on it and it opens up your own email, and you can just shoot it off to the person, because then otherwise if unlike me where I have you as my number 2 contact. in my company. Then you have to go into the website, you have to find
Yeah.
the directory, you have to find what their email is
Right.
and go, well, that's how I've done it before. I don't
Right.
know if there is an easier way that I've missed, but that's how I would have to find the emails.
Yeah.
Just a lot more steps.
Sure.
And you may get people, not even participate, but just being able to respond a little bit more than they maybe know.
How often do you open it?
Every week. And you guys track that, I'm sure, don't you?
I wish there was a way to. I wish there was a counter on it some
Yeah.
way.
There is. You can do that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out because I'm interested to see,
Yeah.
you know, and I've been sharing it out with as many people as possible and whether or not they read it. So with townspeople, you know, including members of the select board, town treasurer, you know, town manager. So we purposely include it. Even the maintenance department receives it. And so I'm curious to see how many people are actually reading
I
it.
do, and I'll skim it when it first comes out, and if there's something I need to read more of, I will. That's how I found out about the Chipotle
Yes.
fundraiser this week, and we were there.
And we were, yes, I was
and
there
we
as
were able
well.
to download, I was able to see, because right there was the attachment with
Yeah.
the
Yes.
brochure and the number on it, and
Good. Well, I'm glad. Thank you for your recommendation. I'm glad it's, you know, working out. I always appreciate the feedback, definitely. And some weeks it's going to be longer. Like I think we're on a page and a half right now in some of the information. I do like to give advance notice. I'm like a 1-month rule person. But feedback that I've received is try to keep it weekly, you know, because it can be too much. But I like to plan a few, you know, a few weeks out. So I'm kind of trying to find a happy balance there, you know, with what information can go and not. Something important like parent conferences I've had in there for a little while, you know. So did you set up parent conferences? And so how was the ease of that?
very easy. I called Tammy, and I told her which teachers I wanted to see, and she was able to get them back to back. So I have them
perfect.
all on Tuesday.
So it worked out. Awesome. Very good. Well, thank you for your feedback on that. Appreciate it. The last section I have on here was Alice trainings, and several members of our student support suite went around yesterday and pre-met with our students in an effort to try to minimize the impact it could potentially have on students when we do these trainings next week. So
You want to give
a little,
everybody just what
a little bit
Alice
more
is,
about-
just so they know what.
I read your email.
yes, yes. So Alice, Todd, would you be able to grab the poster? We did a few weeks ago update our poster, emergency response poster in the building. And because it had reflected our old lockdown procedures on it, you know, and so we updated this, and Alice is really addressing violent critical incidents. So the Alice that I understand it as, but I keep forgetting that not everyone knows what Alice means. You know, it's not a lady that we keep talking about, but alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. So these are the posters that were put up in each of the classrooms. We typically have an emergency poster put up, but it didn't include this. And this was a practice that we adopted a few years ago. And really in an effort to prepare ourselves for a different type of response. So yesterday we met with students to talk about, in a bulleted, we read from a script, you know, how students can best prepare themselves in response to an incident should it occur. And
So yesterday was about letting them know the training. And without getting into any specifics, here is what the training we're going to be doing next week with Officer Gilly for the grades. We have 3 different training sessions, so that they know what's coming next week without going into the details. Some students, we know that some people have been affected by trauma, and the nature of Alice, what it deals with, may cause some issues. So this way they have pre-alerted. If they need to opt out, we've got a system in place, a plan in place for that, so it's not come down to the cafeteria. This is what we're talking about, and then have someone who is really struggling not know where to go or what to do. So that's all we did this week, was to pre-alert, And next week, during the half days, on Monday and Tuesday, we have the actual training.
So 7th and 8th grade will go first on Monday, I believe, and then
Yep.
on Tuesday we have 10, 9 through 12 going in 2 grades at a time. And Zach will give the presentation. We are mindful about, the impact it could potentially have. We have had a couple opt-outs. That letter was sent home. Oh, I believe I included the script as well in the Blackboard Connect email, to allow the opt-out opportunity. So, it's part of our end goal, trying to take baby steps, moving forward with our emergency responses. Very similar to like a fire drill, so our end goal at the end of the school year is really going to be geared towards an evacuation. So that work is being done with the district emergency response team as well as the school-specific emergency response team. So on Monday they'll have those presentations and students will be able to ask some questions. So we all divided and conquered yesterday, going around and spent less than 5 minutes in a room and just kept to the script, and I think it all went pretty well. And the students, it's not new to them. So we had some of this work had started when James White was our school resource officer. So ideally what we're doing is just revisiting because we had started that process. And I believe it's this year's seniors that were part of some of the classes that had first learned about it.
I remember him talking about it in the opening meetings before school began.
Yes.
Officer White.
Yes, certainly. So we're just, catching up with time a little bit and I have that in place. So that will be next week. Next week is going to be a busy week. We also have alumni event and
A busy week for a short week.
it is a busy week for a short week and, we're finding all these opportunities to just, it's the importance is to have these events and, whether it's an academic event, a college event or, things like this where we can offer these opportunities to our students, on half days, which we also have the parent conferences. So it's definitely a busy week. So the alumni event will be here next week, next Wednesday. We've received, I believe, 4 responses as of this morning for the students. It'd be students from either the workforce, military, or college. And they'll come back and I believe GCAM and Melina from the paper, I believe they are coming to record and to, so we can get that information out there because it's a really cool event. So we're hoping to grow that, so it supports every student that, could potentially, that's graduating here.
Right, so helping them have a real world idea as they're transitioning into what their next phase is.
Sure. So we're excited for it.
People they can identify with too.
Yep.
Exactly. And so we've asked for everyone to wear college sweatshirts or a sweatshirt or their uniform or things like that. And I'm excited for it. We're no stranger to doing some fun things around the school. Every Friday is kind of morphed into a dress-up day of some kind. Today's twin day. So I'm twinning with a 7th grade student. And it's just really cool to be able to do this. Mr. Dorman's twinning with
Some of my teaching colleagues.
upstairs. But it's those little things that keep the kids, coming back and excited to come to school. So
Good.
But yeah, and I feel like that's all I have. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Actually, I thought of something.
Oh, perfect. Go ahead.
So at the very beginning you introduced yourself as the interim principal.
Put me on the hot seat.
So what does that process look like?
Yeah, that process is coming.
Okay.
I know that for sure. I believe last I had heard is the position will be posted in January.
Okay.
Really can't wait any longer than January because you always try to want to get, a good pool of candidates when you interview for a position like that. So, yes, the interim word is very nerve-wracking, but it still exists. It's there, and yeah, it's fair to say that my resume is ready.
Okay, good.
I did it the other day, and I haven't updated my resume since I came here, when I was in the assistant principal role. So there's a lot of adjusting that needs to be done.
And who does the search committee consist of?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe Stephen will spearhead that It comes from the superintendent's office, so I'm sure communication will be sent out looking for members. And as I was part of his search committee when he was selected as principal, so it's really cool. I was part of the superintendent search committee, so typically it's, you send notification out to the community, to staff, students, and they respond whether they're interested. Then they select a committee, and then they first meet. I'm sure a lot of the meetings will be virtual, but they may probably grow to in person, obviously. We were pushing that when we hired. We're searching for a superintendent. We wanted that in person.
Sure.
Because it's really hard to just read body language and, try to get a really good pulse on a person, if they're not in front of you. So, but yeah, that's what that looks like, and I'm sure some decisions will be made, and we'll see, what the outcome is. I'm excited for it. I intend on applying for it, and yeah, I don't think they'll undo any of the anxiety that comes with it.
Of course not.
But that's natural, and yeah.
Good. All right. That's all that I had.
Yes, put me on the hot seat on that one. So, thank you everyone for coming, and my apologies for my back being turned to the camera the entire time. We will move locations next time, but. So, the next Coffee and Conversation, I believe this was the Thanksgiving edition. I want to say that there was an edition that I had slated for midwinter.
Okay.
I don't know the fancy name I chose for it, but I will get that information out there for sure. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. It's probably one of my very first pages in here. But I will definitely get that information out there and to share.
Okay.
So, more than welcome to come and bring a friend
Okay.
if you'd like. and then we'll change locations, and hopefully this will grow. We're going to keep these for the remainder of the year. I think they're great opportunities to get out there, and I thank GCAM and Sam for coming today because I watched the video myself. It's always good for personal growth when you circle back and watch your own video.
I won't be watching it.
So thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.